The F-35 Joint Strike Fighter is a well-known and widely used aircraft, but it had some competition during its development. One of its main rivals was the production model Boeing F-32, which was also known as the X-32. There's a chance that aviation nerds and plane nuts alike are familiar with the Boeing X-32, but that's not because of any positive attributes. Many people consider the X-32 to be the ugliest fighter jet that's ever existed. But why is it held in such contempt? The Boeing X-32 was developed by Boeing in the late 1990s as part of the JSF program. The program called for the development of a new generation of multi-role fighter aircraft that could be used by the U.S. military and its allies. This meant the winning aircraft had the potential to shape the future of the U.S. Air Force. The X-32 was designed to demonstrate the feasibility of the Boeing concept for the JSF program, which called for the development of a short takeoff and vertical landing STOVL aircraft. The JSF program was a highly competitive endeavor, with several major aerospace companies vying for the contract to build the new fighter jet. Boeing was one of the companies that participated in the program, along with Lockheed Martin and its F-35 Lightning II and the British aerospace company BAE Systems with its own F-35. Boeing was selected to participate in the JSF program because of its experience and expertise in the design and production of military aircraft. It was ultimately Boeing and Lockheed who received $750 million each to develop their demonstrators. Each company was asked to create two aircraft, a classic fighter for the Air Force and a short takeoff and vertical landing jet for the Navy and Marines. An interesting side note, the government prevented the companies from further funding the prototypes to limit production costs and ensure that they didn't go bankrupt trying to win the contract. However, in the end, it was the Lockheed Martin F-35 that was selected as the winner of the JSF program, and the X-32 and other competitors were shelved. The X-32 was a tailless delta-wing aircraft with a single engine and a canopy that provided the pilot with an unobstructed view of the surroundings. The X-32 was designed to be a multi-role aircraft capable of performing a variety of missions, including air-to-air combat, air-to-ground attack, and reconnaissance. It was built in two versions, a conventional takeoff and landing CTOL version and an STOVL version. The CTOL version was designed to take off and land on traditional runways, while the STOVL version was designed to take off and land vertically using its specialized lift fan and vectoring nozzles. Having an STOVL meant that the engine thrust had to be greater than the landing weight of the aircraft, and any increase in landing weight due to payload or other factors would require a larger engine. This is because a larger engine is heavier and uses more fuel, which reduces the range of the aircraft or increases its takeoff gross weight, which would then require an even bigger engine. It's a vicious cycle that can be difficult to break. One of the challenges of using a direct lift system is that it requires the vertical thrust to be directed down around the center of mass of the aircraft. This is why aircraft that use this type of system, like the X-32 and the Harrier, have a larger cross-section and may appear fat. Another reason for the aircraft's unconventional appearance was its tailless delta-wing design that improved its short takeoff and landing capabilities. This type of wing is characterized by its triangular shape and lack of a traditional vertical stabilizer and rudder. The tailless delta-wing design was chosen for the X-32 due to its numerous advantages, including a high lift-to-drag ratio that made it well-suited for vertical takeoff and landing operations, a low radar cross-section that made it difficult to detect by enemy radar systems, and a high level of structural efficiency that allowed it to support a wide range of payloads without adding significant weight to the aircraft. Something that set the X-32 apart from other planes was its wide front intake, which was necessary for hover mode operation. This gave the X-32 a distinctive appearance with a wide grin on its front due to the large air intake. The intake was necessary to keep the compressor blades exposed and to accommodate the engine, which was mounted forward and shifted to the center of gravity. This required a bulky design to maintain stability during hovering in flight, but it also gave the X-32 a spacious weapons bay that could hold a lot of missiles. The Navy's updated requirements put pressure on the X-32's small delta wing, and the designers had to come up with new ideas for the tail and horizontal stabilizers on the VTOL variant of the plane. However, they didn't have enough time to implement these changes before they had to present the prototypes, so the X-32 ended up being presented with all of its flaws. The VTOL variant, the X-32B, faced delays due to Navy design changes and didn't make its first flight until 2001. While the X-32B's flight performance was impressive and the Chase F-18 Hornet had a hard time keeping up, it struggled with overheating during hover and landing. The X-32 made its first flight in 2000, and over the course of its development, it completed a total of 78 flights. Despite its successful flight tests, the X-32 was not selected as the winner of the JSF program. There were several reasons for this, including technical issues with the aircraft's STOVL design and concerns about its performance and cost. Instead, the Lockheed Martin X-35 was chosen, and it went on to be developed into the F-35 Lightning II, which is currently in service with several militaries around the world. One of the main issues with the X-32's STOVL design was its weight. Despite choosing for the tailless delta wing, the aircraft was still significantly heavier than the Lockheed Martin X-35. One of the main consequences of the X-32's tailless delta wing design was its reduced stability compared to a traditional aircraft with a vertical stabilizer and rudder. This made the aircraft more challenging to fly, especially during high G maneuvers. In addition to the consequences of its design choices, the X-32 also faced some challenges during its development and testing. One of the main issues was its STOVL performance. The X-32 was intended to be capable of transitioning between conventional flight and STOVL mode, but the aircraft struggled to perform consistently in this regard. This was in part due to the complexity of the STOVL system and the challenges of designing a control system that could handle the unique flight dynamics of a tailless delta-wing aircraft. In the end, the X-32's STOVL design was more complex and required more maintenance, which added to its overall cost. Despite these issues, the X-32 was still a significant achievement for Boeing and played a vital role in the development of the F-35. One interesting aspect of the X-32's development was its use of virtual prototyping. Rather than building physical prototypes and testing them in the traditional way, the X-32 team used advanced computer simulations to model and evaluate the aircraft's performance and design. This allowed them to save time and resources by testing and refining the design digitally before building physical prototypes. The use of virtual prototyping was a pioneering approach at the time and helped to accelerate the development of the X-32. It is now a common practice in the aerospace industry, and many aircraft are designed and tested using virtual prototyping before physical prototypes are built. The X-32 was a promising fighter jet that ultimately didn't quite live up to its potential. While it performed well in other areas, it was criticized for its unconventional appearance, with some people even saying it looked like a flying bathtub. Despite its failure to win the Joint Strike Fighter program, the X-32 did leave a lasting impact on Boeing's technological developments. These advancements were later used in the successful Super Hornet deal with the Navy, which has a stylish design and is widely regarded as a top-performing fighter jet. In that sense, the X-32 can be seen as a stepping stone to the success of the Super Hornet and other future aircraft. While it may not have reached the heights of the F-35, the X-32's legacy lives on in the planes that followed it.